Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Debbie Lee and I am here with the White Samurai crew today. And I just want to welcome everyone in. So if you've got a coffee, if you've got a soda, if you've got an iced strawberry matcha, just make sure it's with you. And I guess we will just get straight into it. So I have been working with some people that want to build businesses and they feel aligned and sustainable and emotionally authentic. Nothing is forced and nothing is, you want to hustle until you burn out, or you just pretend like fake it till you make it, right? No, they're not like that. They will give it to you straight and it will be honest. It'll just be an honest learning curve, no matter what it is that you're going through or you need answers with. So I've learned a lot of what I teach during my time under David. So at White Samurai, where I was able to observe the behavioral side of business. And what I learned is people do not buy products. People buy meaning. People buy identity. And people buy what feels like home. So when a business is built on authenticity and clarity, everything becomes easier. Selling becomes easier, marketing becomes easier, sharing becomes easier, scaling becomes easier, everything becomes easier. Because you're not trying to be someone else, you're building something aligned with actual nature. And once that alignment clicks, something powerful happens. You stop feeling awkward about selling because you're not convincing, you're connecting. So today we are going to talk about 3 core skills every entrepreneur needs. So you want to have the feeling, you don't want to have the feeling. You want to be able to sell without feeling cringe. You need the customer psychology basics, and you need how to create offers that people actually want. And before we get into the teachings, I want to tell you a story. And this story is about a company that I have grown up with. I have very fond memories of this business. So this story comes from a company that almost died multiple times, but they survived because it remembered truly who it was. So today we are talking about the story of Nintendo. And before we start talking strategy, I want to tell you this story because it is a story that shaped so many children's childhood, including my own. So they have shaped across generations, survived near collapses more than once, and ultimately became one of the most emotionally resonant brands in the world. And we know Nintendo today as the home of Super Mario Bros, Zelda, Pokemon, Super Smash Bros, and the worlds that feel timeless and nostalgic and warm and fuzzy inside. It's easy to assume Nintendo was always a giant, but what makes Nintendo powerful is not just its success, it's how they learned to survive by returning to its identity again and again. So when Nintendo began back in 1889 in Kyoto in Japan. They weren't just a tech company. They weren't just an entertainment company either, but they were a small, tiny little family business hand painting playing cards. These cards were used for simple party games in Japanese taverns. And these cards weren't fancy, but the craftsmanship was personal, intentional, and human. Each card was made to spark joy, not status. And that is the thread that carries through Nintendo's entire story. Joy, not complexity, not superiority, not performance, just joy. So for nearly 70 years, Nintendo stayed modest, quite steady, respected, small but meaningful. By the 1960s and 70s, Japan was modernizing very fast. Technology was rising and Nintendo felt the pressure to evolve quite quickly. And here is where they nearly lost themselves. Nintendo began chasing everything. They tried to run a taxi company. They made instant rice and they manufactured vacuum cleaners. They even created a love tester machine for like arcades and bars. So obviously it was chaos for them. Their business had no identity. There was nothing at its core. They just tried to pick and choose things that were popular. And that is where the moment where so many new entrepreneurs today get lost. Not because they lack any talent, not because they lack drive, but because they become busy instead of aligned. So busy might look like trying 10 different businesses at least once, constant rebranding, copying whatever seems trendy, chasing success instead of building meaning. And just like many new business owners, Nintendo was spreading itself pretty thin, trying to become something fast instead of becoming real. So the turning point came in the 70s when Nintendo hired a young, sorry, my nose is a little bit itchy. When Nintendo hired a young industrial designer, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, Miyamoto. He wasn't just a businessman and he wasn't just an engineer and he wasn't just a strategist either. He was a kid at heart. And Miyamoto didn't approach games like technology. He approached them like storytelling. He believed play wasn't just entertainment. It was emotional and very personal and human. And he said himself, games should feel like you've stepped into a world that already existed inside of you. His first success was Donkey Kong in 1981, but it wasn't the most advanced game of its time, but it had charm and warmth and personality, and it felt alive. Then came the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, in 1983. And then after that came the Game Boy, and then Pokemon, and then the Nintendo DS, and then the Nintendo Wii. And the Wii is the most powerful example of Nintendo's identity in motion. At the time, Sony and Microsoft were battling for power, high graphics, performance, speed, realism, you name it. They were selling technical superiority, and they assumed that's what customers wanted. But Nintendo asked something completely different. They were like, what if gaming could feel welcoming? What if families could play together? What if the controller didn't feel intimidating and extremely professional and you had to like learn it with a lot of expertise? The Wii remote was designed to mimic something very familiar. What can you guess? A TV remote. Something that everyone already knows how to hold. Play, accessibility, and connection. The Wii went on to sell over 100 million units. That's a very inconceivable number. Becoming one of the best-selling consoles in history. Nintendo didn't win by being the strongest, they won by being the clearest. They remembered who they were, they wanted joy over complexity, community over comparison, and play over performance. And that is the lesson for today. A business doesn't need to succeed because it's the loudest or the trendiest or the most refined. A business succeeds because it really understands what it's here to give. So Nintendo's story teaches us that we don't chase what looks successful. You don't control yourself. You don't contort yourself to match the market. And you don't build a business based on what others are doing. You build from your identity and your energy, your strengths, your philosophy, because authenticity is not just a nice feeling, it's a business strategy. The brands that last are the brands that feel like someone, not something. And that is where our business transformation begins. So that leads us to topic number 1. We want to be able to sell a business without feeling cringe. Sell without cringing. Number 1. So now that we understand how identity anchors a business, let's talk about something that almost everyone struggles with in the beginning. Selling. Specifically, selling without feeling cringe or pushy or awkward or like you're begging. Because sometimes it does feel like that. And I want to start with something quite honest. So most people don't struggle with selling because selling is hard. They struggle because selling feels emotionally vulnerable, right? Like, selling isn't about asking people for money. Selling is about saying, I believe in something that I made. I believe in it, so you should believe in it. And then that transaction happens. But that can feel scary because the moment you offer something to the world, your inner voice starts saying, what if I don't want it? What if they think I'm trying too hard? What if I look desperate? What if I'm not good enough yet? But that's not a strategic problem. That's a self-image problem. And when selling feels cringe, it's almost never the selling that's cringe. It's how we think selling works. So we need to shift that. We were taught the wrong idea of sales. We think selling means convincing, persuading, proving, or performing, like putting on an act. Because we've seen the used car salesman energy everywhere. We've seen pushy DMs, we've seen people who value the sale more than the other person that's buying it. And instinctively you're like, I don't want to be that person, because no one really does. So you pull back and you undersell, you downplay, and you say things like, just thought I'd share, ... If you're interested, maybe, ... No pressure, ... You try to shrink to seem humble, but shrinking doesn't build trust. Clarity builds trust. When you are clear, people relax. They understand, they know what you offer. People know how to move forward. So selling stops feeling like convincing and starts feeling more like informing. So the shift with that, you are selling as service. So selling is actually one thing, helping someone understand that something that you offer could improve their life. You're not forcing, you're not persuading or begging, you're just showing the bridge between where they are and where they want to be. And if you truly believe your offer makes someone's life better, then sharing it is just an act of service. It's not self-promotion. If you don't believe your offer makes someone's life better, then you don't need a sales strategy. You need a better offer, which we will also get to. But assuming your offering comes from a real place, selling is generosity. So the psychology behind the trust and safety of selling. So let's look at this from a human behavioral perspective. So according to a 2023 Salesforce consumer trust study, 92% of US consumers say they only buy from brands that they feel understand them. Not brands that explain the most, not brands that are the most aesthetic, not brands with the lowest price either, but brands that understand, meaning they feel emotionally safe. So when you try to sell by being impressive or persuasive, the brain rejects it. It feels like social pressure. But when you start selling by saying, I understand what you're going through, and here's something that might help, the brain softens because it recognizes care. Selling works when the buyer feels very seen and safe and supported, not overwhelmed. So, how do we sell without feeling cringe? So, we want to shift one of these things. So, you need to speak to their problem, not your product. Most people sell their product in this way. I offer coaching. I sell hair care. I have a digital planner. I make candles. But customers don't care about what the thing is. They care about what it changes. People don't buy candles, they buy calm evenings. People don't buy planners, they buy mental clarity. And people don't buy coaching, they buy confidence, momentum, and identity. So instead of talking about your offer, talk about the stress that someone is in before and the relief they will feel after. So speak to the real human emotional experience. And one example here is I help people who feel overwhelmed organize their day so they finally feel clear, grounded, and in control again. That's not pushy and it's not overly salesman-y. It's just understanding. You're not selling the product, but you're selling the idea that it'll make their life a lot easier. So shift number 2, you tell the truth about why you care. So that's the most common step that people forget. You don't need to be polished and you don't need to look perfect either. And you don't need to act like a corporate brochure. You just need to speak from lived experience. So instead you should say, I teach this because I remember what it felt like to struggle with myself, and nobody deserves to feel that alone in it. It's not cringe, it's just human. When your selling has emotion, not performance, trust forms. So shift number 3, instead of pushing, you want to invite. So you want to invite instead of pushing. So this is where everything gets easier. When you try to convince someone, they pull back. When you try to prove your value, it looks like insecurity. And when you pressure, the nervous system goes into defense mode. But when you simply invite someone, the body relaxes. So you want to say things like, if this speaks to you, reach out. If this feels aligned, I'd love to talk about that more. If this clicks, here's how to take the next step. So invitations honor autonomy. Autonomy builds trust, and trust leads to sales. So what you don't want to do when you're trying to change this. So you don't want to over-explain, and you don't want to apologize for your offer. And you don't want to pretend to be more confident than you are. Don't chase people. People who want what you offer will come towards clarity. Your job is to be clear and open, not convincing. So I'll just give you an example for this. Imagine you baked some cookies. You don't need to run around screaming, I make cookies! Oh my God, someone please validate my cookie making. You just place the warm cookies on a table when people are hungry and say, they're here if you like one. So the right people will come towards you naturally with no force, no cringe, just alignment. So selling stops feeling awkward when you realize that you are not asking to be chosen. You're not saying, oh, pick me, pick me. You're not comparing yourself to another business that's offering the same thing. Oh, pick me, I'm better. You are allowing yourself to be found. So, topic number 2 of today's video. We want to understand the psychology basics of the customer. Psychology basics number 2. So now that we've removed the emotional weirdness around selling, we need to talk about why people buy in the first place. Strap in, because when you understand how and why people make decisions, you no longer have to guess what to say or how to present your offer. So communication becomes clearer, your brand becomes clearer, and sales feel natural instead of forced. So let's step into something most entrepreneurs skip, the Customer Psychology 101, the simple version. So you don't need to be a behavioral scientist. You just need to understand how humans actually decide what they value. And this is critical because businesses fail not due to a lack of effort, but due to a lack of alignment with how humans think. So why knowing your customer matters? Deb, who cares? So according to the Harvard Business Review, 95% of purchase decisions are driven by emotion first, and logic comes in afterwards just to justify the choice. So what does that mean? That means that people feel before they think. Raise your hand if you've ever... Anyways, yes, we've all emotionally, impulsively bought something and then thought, oh yeah, I do need that. So people buy because of identity first and practicality second, which is why businesses that sell features struggle, because businesses that sell identity and meaning thrive. So another example of this is Nike doesn't sell shoes. Nike sells the story of becoming more than you currently are. And Apple, we've heard one of these ones before. Apple doesn't sell devices. They sell simplicity, minimalism, creativity. They sell the identity and autonomy. So Starbucks doesn't sell coffee. Starbucks sells belonging and ritual. People aren't buying products, they're buying personal transformation. So your job is to understand who your customer is becoming when they choose you. Not who they are now, who they want to be. So the buyer's internal questions. Every customer, consciously or unconsciously, asks, do you understand me? Can you help me? Can I trust you? That's it. Not, are you the cheapest? Do you have the most certifications? Do you sound the smartest? Those things do not move the needle unless those three questions are already answered. So if your brand communicates, I see you, I get you, and I've got you, that sale happens with ease. If your brand communicates, I want something from you, then customers disappear. Give me your money. See ya. So the three core drivers of human buying behavior are identity. People buy things that reinforce who they want to be. Someone who buys a Kindle isn't just buying an electronic reader. They are reinforcing the identity that I am thoughtful, curious, and a learning oriented person. So someone who buys fresh flowers every week isn't just decorating. They are reinforcing the identity that I don't need a man to buy me flowers. I am a person who cares about beauty and the atmosphere because they look cute. So if you ask yourself, what identity does your product reinforce? If you don't know the answer, you are not selling yet. You're just listing features. Number 2, emotion. Emotion does not mean drama. It just means felt resonance. Customers decide with comfort and curiosity and relief and aspiration and excitement and belonging. This is why emotional language works better than technical explanations. So an example of this is you'll finally wake up feeling organized and clear again versus this planner includes 178 pages and category and tabs. One speaks to a feeling and the other speaks to a feature. Humans buy feelings. Number 3, safety. This is the most overlooked part of owning a business. So people need to feel safe to purchase something. They buy a safe, people need to feel safe to buy that doesn't make sense. People need to feel safe to buy safe. That works. That the product works. So when people feel safe, they will feel safe that the product works. They will feel safe that they won't be judged. And they will feel safe that they're making a smart choice and that they won't regret it. So this is why clear communication matters more than hype. And data supports this. So in 2022, an American Marketing Association survey found consumers are almost 5 times more likely to buy from a brand that communicates in plain, simple language over one that uses complex, professional phrasing. Clarity is safe, safety is trust, and trust is what creates a sale. So, how to apply the customer psychology? So, step number 1, you define your customers' before and after states. Your customer is on a journey. They are currently in their before state. And that might be confused or overwhelmed or frustrated, stuck, or lacking confidence. And they're after, so they want to reach a state of confidence, feeling clear and supported and capable and empowered. Your offer is the bridge. So speak about both states clearly and repeatedly. If you cannot describe your customers before state in their exact emotional language, they will not feel understood and therefore they won't buy anything. So step number 2, you want to mirror their language. So use words that they use, not the words that you think that they think sound professional. An example of this is if a customer says, I feel scattered, not I lack organizational efficiency. Maybe a very small niche amount of people might talk like that, but the general population don't. A customer might say, I feel gross when I look in the mirror, not my body composition is suboptimal. That's a funny one. Customers speak emotionally and brands must respond emotionally. Step number 3, show small wins, not grand promises. So people don't trust overnight change. They trust stepping stones. So instead of, I'll change your life, you want to say, you will feel more in control by the end of this week. Small wins build momentum. Momentum builds loyalty. Loyalty builds repeat sales. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to talk to everyone. When you try to speak to everyone, no one hears you. You don't speak to logic first. Emotion leads to logic. You don't promise the world. Your customer trusts what feels achievable, not what sounds magical. And you don't assume you know your customer. Talk to them. Real data beats intuition every time. So, an example of all of the above. Imagine you're a candle brand and most of the other candle brands might say, our candles are hand poured from soy wax with essential oils. Okay, literally thousands and millions and trillions of other brands also do that as well. But imagine you say, our candles are made for people who feel overstimulated, overwhelmed, and tense after long days. They're designed to help your home exhale with you. That makes you feel, oh, I feel like nice and warm and fuzzy and relaxed. So suddenly the candle you're not selling the candle, you are selling the candle, but you're selling the feeling that is attributed with buying that candle. So if you were to buy this candle, you are buying relief and quiet and like you're de-stressing. So that is customer psychology. Your product is not the product. Your product is the feeling and identity that your customer steps into when they choose you. So once you understand that selling becomes simple and natural and honest and human. So that brings us to topic number 3. How long are we? So topic number 3, what do you want to do? You want to create offers that people actually want. Offers people actually want. So we have explored how selling doesn't have to feel uncomfortable, and we've unpacked the psychology behind how customers make decisions. Now we have arrived at the big hinge point where most businesses either take off or completely collapse, unfortunately. So you want to create offers that people genuinely want. Not just offers that you think are good, because one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of entrepreneurs that come to White Samurai, I see them I see that entrepreneurs make building a product or service in complete isolation, building it from their mind, their excitement, their vision, without actually checking whether people are actually asking for it first. So this is why you'll meet incredibly talented people, like truly brilliant, and they are extremely creative, so creative, and very skilled coaches, clever thinkers, who still struggle to make sales. But it's not because they aren't good, it's because their offer isn't aligned with what their market is actively ready to buy. And here is the truth. The market does not reward effort. It rewards alignment. So your offer doesn't have to be the most advanced. It doesn't have to be perfect. And it doesn't have to be some hugely complex, technologically advanced product. It just has to be understandable, digestible, desired and relevant, and emotionally resonant. And something that is easy to say yes to, obviously. And that is a skill that you can learn. So why does this topic matter? So let's crunch some numbers for a second. So according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 45% of small businesses fail because there is no proven market need for their product. So what does that mean? Just under half of small businesses fail because no one needs their product. No one is out there needing to buy the things that they are selling. Not because they didn't try hard enough, not because they didn't market their product correctly, and not because they didn't believe in themselves either, but simply because they created something the customer didn't actually care about. But this is avoidable, entirely avoidable. If we build offers using market reality instead of personal assumption, if we build offers using market reality instead of personal assumption. So the core idea to remember, your offer should feel like, oh my God, finally, I've been waiting everywhere for this product. Not, interesting. If your customer has to think about why the product matters, your offer isn't clear enough yet. Your goal is not to convince, your goal is to nudge. So how do we create these offers? Deb, what's going on here? So Step number 1, we start with the problem, not the product. And let me just take a little sip of my drink. So we start with the problem. Problem definition. So you want to find what your problem is. And you don't want to ask, what should I sell? I really want to start a business and I don't know what to sell. What should I sell? You should ask, what is my customer currently struggling with that feels emotionally heavy or annoying or exhaustive? People don't pay to be entertained by your creativity. They pay to be relieved. They pay to relieve emotional friction. So, examples of problems that people actually spend money to fix are, I feel overwhelmed when I walk into my house. I never know what to make for dinner. I keep losing motivation with my workouts. I want to change careers, but I don't know where to start. I want to learn more, but I'm scared of taking the wrong steps. These are problems with emotional weight. Where there is emotional weight, there is willingness to pay. So I want you to write down the top 5 frustrations that your customer says in their own words, not what you think, what they are complaining about out loud. And your offer must solve one of those. So step 2. You want to create a clear, simple transformation path. An offer is not just a product or a course or a session or a package. It is a guided path from the customer's before state to their desired after state. And it is your job to show where they are now, where they want to be, and the steps that you will take them through to get there. This is what makes an offer trustworthy. For an example, I feel disorganized and scattered and I can't keep up. But your product will offer them I feel calm and structured and back in control of my days. So the offer, a 4-week system to reset your routines, simplify your tasks, and rebuild your month with clarity. That is clear and relatable and desirable. The transformation is the value, not the format. Step number 3, make the offer easy to say yes to. You don't want to win customers by overwhelming them. We win them through clarity and simplicity and emotional fit. So to make an offer easy to say yes to, you reduce confusion and you reduce uncertainty and you reduce decision effort. So ways that you can do that are clear timelines, clear outcomes, and clear steps, clear communication, clear pricing. And again, clarity is safety. Safety is trust. Trust is conversion. So, the offer formula. My offer helps specific person go from frustrated before state to desired after state by clear method or process in realistic time frame. So, for an example, my offer helps teenagers go from feeling exhausted at the end of the day to getting home and feeling like they can relax instantly by providing ambient mood lighting in a plethora of colors and functions. So, if you can say that in one breath, then your offer is good. And if you can't, it needs simplification. You need to refine everything. Not refine. You need to take it back a bit. So, a real example for the offer that is fully clarified. So, let's just say you help women build confidence in the gym. You don't want to say, I offer one-on-one coaching sessions, form coaching, macros, and mindset mentorship. You want to say, I help women who feel intimidated to even walk into the gym, learn exactly what to do, how to do it, and how to feel confident in their body again in 8 weeks. So you notice the difference? The second one, you feel like you want to sign up and do it yourself. It's emotional. There is an identity. There is a desired story. But there's zero explanation. This is an offer that people buy. What not to do. So these are some mistakes that you want to avoid. And before we get into that, I'm just going to take another little step. So you don't build something just because you like it, even though you can. It's a free country, you can do whatever you like. But if you want this to actually be sustainable, you don't build something just because you like it. The market decides what works, not your personal excitement. Don't make the offer complicated. Complexity does not equal value. Results equal value. Don't offer too many things at once. More options equal more confusion, equal fewer sales. Don't price emotionally. Price based on formation, not insecurity or comparison. And don't assume you know the customer. Just talk to them. The best offer is shaped from real conversations. So, the big truth about all of this, you don't need to reinvent the world. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to be the first. You don't need to be the most original. You just need to be clear and relevant and human, understandable, and emotionally resonant. Your offer succeeds when it meets the customer where they already are. So, as a summary for this entire video today, we covered a couple of approaches to building a business. So we went over how to sell without feeling cringy. And you do this because selling becomes easy when you sell through empathy, clarity, and invitation. The next topic that we covered was psychology, the customer psychology. So people buy when they feel safe or seen and emotionally understood. And you want to create You want to create offers that people actually want. Your offer must solve a felt emotional problem and clearly move someone from struggle to peace. So, just to recap, the story of the Nintendo business was a business that thrives when it honors its identity. A business collapses. Sorry, I just spat everywhere. A business collapses when it tries to be everything for everyone. Your business should feel like you. It should be an extension of you. Your selling should feel like your natural tone as well. And your offers should feel like an extension of your values. And when you build that way, something amazing happens. Customers don't need to be convinced. They recognize themselves in what you have created. And that is the kind of business that lasts. And I just want to thank you if you stuck around for this entire video. It was a long one. And thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, or I want you to write me a positive little comment in the comment section. And if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you want to contact White Samurai, especially the team behind White Samurai, please just contact them and they will be able to answer any questions that you have. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.